Welcome to CRM Day. Cliff Oxford, the founder of CliffCo. And what CliffCo has done here today is bring together, I want to thank them up front for the best experts in CRM. We got T. Colley here, got Ashley and Tim for Virginia. These are our members from Virginia. You know, our speaker last time from Ireland. Good news is we found all of these experts within the group. So that's what we always first try to do. So here we go. Confessions of a software salesman. CRM grew out of our M&A day because in M&A, the quickest thing that will sink you in M&A is not to have CRM systems. I'm going to give you $40 million and then what start? Due diligence. In due diligence, they start asking for what? A lot of customer data. So I need this. And if you don't have that, if I keep going back to them and go, you know, we don't have that. The third time's out. That's a strike. But there's also something else here. The industry they more interested in selling software than you being successful. Now, I used to be one of these people. And what we're going to do today is tell you, you're going to read later on, next week, next month, some of the opposite of things what we say here today. But here's the difference. 80% of CRM implementations are failures today. And also in Co. Now, here's the success side of CRM. I see Philip back here. Where's Philip? I was out at Philip's company, CalCulture. Today, they sell $180 million worth. And I went down and guess what? CRM system, SAP system. We know you can't scale without CRM. That's the most important thing here today is that if you don't have CRM, not only you're not going to make it M&A, you probably will never get them. And we see that across our enterprise. And actually the industry is pulling for you to fail. But I'm going to show you today, this is what you have to choose from. Thanks. This is T. Colley's slide. I got to give him credit for this. Now, which one of these are you going to buy? Which ones do you think? Now here today, thanks to these great experts, we're going to tell you the two. We're going to save you right from the start which two to get that we recommend. And there's, you know, by the way, you don't think I get any money from any of the two. I pay HubSpot a lot of money. So their money's going out this way, not this coming in this way. But we looked at it. But here's the thing, and there's two very good systems. But this is not what makes CRM successful, picking one of these. I could almost throw darts up here and be as successful with one as I can the other. That's the deal. But it's kind of cool. It's kind of glitzy to bring in all the software people. You know, they're slick. And it's kind of go through which system should we use. That's what they want you focused on. Okay. But what I want you focused on to start here is quality of data. And we have said, everybody's heard quality of earnings. Where's our accounting folks? Kara, you here? Quality of earnings. What is quality of earnings?
Just make sure that what it is really what it is.
Make sure the revenue is what it is. Quality of data. Now, I'm about to be a big downer here because I'm going to tell you something that they will never tell you. And as a software salesperson, I never wanted you to do this. I did everything I could to divert you away from quality of data check. And that is this. Before you get started on CRM, you got to run your data and see where you stand with your email addresses, your physical addresses, your whole quality of data of your database. But don't spend a penny, don't do a thing till you look at quality of data. That should be a term in any scaling company is quality of data. What is our quality of data? So how do you do that? But the quality of data is your database with all your bounces, bad data bouncing. Now, right here, I'll go ahead and let you know the CRM leaders, this was the STI knowledge, and we focused on the knowledge part of the database. And this is where Gartner named us the visionary execution leader, and everybody wanted to be right where we were. And the reason they did that is because we set the standards, 87% of the Fortune 500 use it, we set in CRM back in those days. Now, some of those have changed, but when I called now, like AT&T or something, I go, well, there they are escalating the call. There they are doing this. I can see it. But we focused on what is in your knowledge base. And also quality of data is this right here. Flip the switch versus incremental. I'm giving you a lot of terms here that are important. As a software salesperson, I don't want you looking at quality of data. I want you to, quote, flip the switch like CrowdStrike did at Delta and upgraded hundreds of thousands of machines at one time. Now, that's flip the switch. Why would I want flip the switch as a software salesperson? I'm selling a lot of seats. I'm selling seats everywhere. So when you deal with your CRM company, you want to use these terms here, quality of data. Incremental is the way it has worked. Now, IT guys, I used to have my IT guys and go, okay, we're going to do a controlled rollout. We'll test 100 machines. Why are you doing that? Our stuff never fails. That's how software engineers think. Our stuff never fails, always fails. Something always goes wrong. So there is incremental. So roll out to one part of the sales team. You roll it out to one department and you test it and you build it from there. But I say this, there's going to be a software salesperson in your desk going, why do you want quality of data, Mike? We'll fix that when these guys get involved. involved on the conversion. We'll do that then. Just hold off on that. Oh, you can do it in the conversion. Sounds good to me. You're just giving them junk. And they're going to go trying to sell you as many seats as possible. You want to go, you know what? We're going to do incremental here. We'll buy 10 seats to start with, not 50. So this is the way CRM can be successful. Now we'll eventually get to, and this is one of the things we designed at STI, was the Knowledge Center. They're going to show you pretty pictures like this right here and say, this is going to be all yours. It can eventually, after you do incremental rollouts and then a full rollout. And we're going to get to that at the end, but this is where we want to, that's the big pretty picture of CRM where you got multiple contacts and the knowledge base, you're getting smarter as you grow. Now, quality of data here. This is what you got to do. I want to show you, we practice what we preach at CliffCo. This is a delivery we sent out, 230 bounces, unsubscribed, spam reports. We had one bounce. If you went to your database today, and I want you to all go back to your database. You all got to do this when you go back. Run the report and see the rejects back on all the email addresses, the cell phone numbers, and everything like that. Now, here's a trick. It's a good trick. Physical addresses. How do you get physical addresses in there? So in my quality of data, I'm looking at, this is my gold mine. What is the quality of it before I do anything? Email addresses, I can see what bounces. You got to make sure you get physical addresses. Send them something. You know what? Mail every one of your customers a letter and let the post office do the work for you. Return to sender. You start with some physical address. What if there's one in your gold mine? I'll call it gold mine, the database. You do that and you send everybody, and make sure it's a good letter. I mean, everybody should, we do this. We send these out because emails, text, Slack, you still want to communicate with your customers in this channel. So this is letting the post office do the work for you. Just like Bezos let Netflix, that tells you what the bounces are. This is the hard work you have to do to be succefful with it. And I tell you what, it continues. It never stops. This right here was from one of our meetings. I discussed mobile numbers appearing first in CRM when going to a contact. That was in one of our real staff meetings. And we were sending out text and the system was grabbing the office number. Now, what is the problem with that? No text. It doesn't go out. And what I'm about to say here is this little problem is emblematic of a failed CRM solution. It's one little problem. So we had to go in and sequence it differently and put different standards in to our CRM database, how we wanted it done. So the phone number, the first one is mobile phone. Now, we're going to get their full name. We're going to get whatever information you deem necessary. Now, you have to sit down and decide because what if you give too much? What about too much information? It's really important. Write these two things down. Everything you do in CRM, including the sequencing and the standards, is built upon customer outcomes and customer growth. If it's not removing an obstacle or enabling a customer outgrowth, I should say customer outcome or a customer growth, don't do it. Because this is the part with CRM, you get this thing and they go, what is the word we used to say in software? Oh, it's very malleable. That was a good software for it. That meant you can do anything with it. It's not very malleable. It's exactly how you iron it into the system. And you have to do these little grinding things constantly and looking at the CRM database, because we caught this by looking at the rejects on text. Well, I've got so many text rejects. So looking at this is going constantly, but think about that. What information you want to have. If you don't need it, don't put it in there. Now, a good person to involve in this is a co-created solution. I let my salespeople on the peripheral be involved in this. There's different views on this. Oh, get the salesperson to sign off on anything. Salespeople they want to sell. They want to sell shit. They don't want to, that's what they want to do. You want to help them do that. But this is largely driven by you. Let me get that clear in this room. If you're not involved in this, it's not going to get done. Ashley and Tim are going to go through the grind of setting up all of this. Now, why do I want y'all to see this? Because you know what? As a software salesperson, you don't need to see how they set up sequencing and all that, because I don't want you involved in that, because you get into what they're doing, a lot of stuff can come up. You will start asking a lot of questions. Also, here's something else will happen with CRM. Hey, can we add this other department? I want you to know what they're doing to answer that question instead of, yeah, we'll add another department. So this is why nobody in the industry would bring these people in and say, you're going to sit through and watch them do this. The other thing is this right here. You've got to know how to deploy resources. It's not just a download of software and we're off and going. You got to understand what they're doing. So this is why it's not successful, because as a software salesperson, I'm selling software. I'm selling seats. They want you to spend all of your time selecting the software. which Tim, T, and Ashley have already done for you. You leave here today, that's already done. Pipedrive or HubSpot, that's already done. So then they want you to get the consulting firm. They do a little bit of testing and quality control, but they're testing junk if you don't do it this way. They're testing data, bad data. They're testing bad standards, bad sequencing. So it's not really a test. So that this conference, we're going to focus largely on just the sales part, not integration. I think we might do a little bit of DocuSign, but again, incremental, because everybody's going to try to sell you more software. But this is it if you're rolling it out on a controlled basis to software. And then this one is important, the CRM culture. Now, when I met this at CliffCo and when I was at STI, I walked around a lot of mornings with something in my hand and going, Bianca, salesperson, you didn't fill out the follow-up notes. It's got to be a complete sentence. Can't be just went by. And you got to be a little bit of a maniac to run a really good CRM system. I would say Alan over at Cali Culture and Phil are pretty much maniacs on their systems because that's what you have to be. I'm going to pull up T here, and T, come on up. All right, T is going to talk to you about enterprise.
So why am I standing up here? Advantage Sales Partners, we create and build sales organizations from the ground up. We restructure or turn around underperforming sales organizations. Both of those items almost always or lots of times involves sourcing and bringing in and implementing CRM and other sales technology. So we also provide executive sales leadership and fractional sales management for companies that aren't large enough to have sales managers yet. And so just some of the products we offer are, of course, our CRM and other sales technologies. So the marketplace, as Cliff showed you, those are all different types of sales technologies. CRM, 157 CRM systems in that slide. And Tim and I, the slide pops up and Tim says, I didn't all of them. And I'm like, yes, that was a 2023 slide. And even 2023, it was not all encompassing. Somebody know when Salesforce began? 99, 2000, right? After Cliff sold his company, right? 2013, we had about 200 sales tools. And two things happened. Now you've got access all over the place. It begins to change a little bit. But also something else happened. Companies have access to you. So marketing begins to change a little bit, right? So those two things combined, now different tools begin to emerge, sales enablement tools and things of that nature. So the tools begin to take off a little bit. Investors see an opportunity. So all of a sudden VC, PE investors pop into it and say, here's an opportunity. Let's throw some money at it. What happens when you throw money at something? Other stuff pops out and more tools begin to be created. And then a little something called the pandemic happens, completely accelerates sales adoption, sales technology adoption, takes it up to the next level. And now AI is in every single sales tool that you should look at. What does that mean for us as consumers? Buyer confusion. It's not only that you've got a whole bunch out there, but now these tools overlap in their features and benefits. Integration challenges. Not all these tools talk to each other. So if you want these to be tools and this tool, you have to make sure that they can integrate and talk to each other, which means almost always you're going to need some expertise. Tim and Ashley's company for implementation and direction, Advantage Sales Partners for implementation and direction and choices. For today's purposes, I want you to categorize CRM in two categories. The first is a true CRM platform. This simply means that the sole purpose of that, the intention of that is CRM, customer relationship management. That's the sole purpose it was built for. That's what all the money is going towards. So that's the focus of that platform. Then you've got companies that have CRM enabled in their tool, which means their focus is really something else, like email marketing. And since they've got an email and a telephone and a name, they begin to build out a couple of other things and enable a CRM. Lots of times it's just a money grab. So just think about a true CRM platform versus a CRM enabled platform. So anybody ever heard of G2? Great site, g2.com. You can go and compare different softwares. The first slide we had said 157 CRM, actually 734 different CRM systems. I built this slide 2 weeks ago, popped in this morning to check something. Now there's 737 CRM systems, right? So it definitely is complicated. So in traditional CliffCo fashion, what Cliff said, we've done the work for you. We've vetted these with the expertise in the room, and we've come up with tools that we feel confident in. That's HubSpot and Pipe. So why not just give you one? Lots of reasons. Both of these tools are great. One has one little thing that we really, really specialize in. HubSpot's great for the front end marketing. So if you're going to A and B landing pages, you're going to build websites quickly. If you're going to do SEO and digital marketing, and that's your business style, HubSpot is great. If you need your approach to the marketplace is more direct sales, where the deal is all important, you have relationships that matter and activity management to move that deal through the process, and that's your core focus, Pipedrive is maybe a slightly better product, right? They're both great. It's just this? Do you want to pay for a whole bunch, or do you want to pay for, hey, I'm sales, direct sales, and this is kind of what I need? Well, in terms of what these two core systems can do, basically the same thing. And what Cliff said, Tim and Ashley are going to take you through the process today and set up HubSpot so you can see how to create a visual pipeline, how to deal stages, how to create custom fields and things of that nature. So the look would be different, but the process would be similar for both of these tools.
I just want to reiterate something Cliff said, and it's the implementation piece. The reason we see most people fail is because they don't implement. They think they bought it, just like Cliff said, and you turn it on and it works. And that's just not the case. This has to be built out for your teams. You cannot pass it. There need to be planning. There needs to be an understanding of what information, what data your sales team needs. Now, in HubSpot, obviously, there are other hubs, so Service Hub and all those things. That's what you're going to put in for your marketing team.
We're HubSpot partner agency, Google partner, Accessibility partner, Kixie partner, AirCall partner, all the partners. CRM, of course, you guys know Google. Accessibility is specific to making sure your website is accessible, which is important for all your users, and Kixie and AirCall related to phone systems. Okay, Tim, founder, CEO, I'm partner and CMO. Okay, first up, creating and importing contacts. So setting up your CRM. To create contacts, you're going to click up at the top. Thanks, Tim. Create contact, fill in the name, email, job title. This right here, if you haven't set up your CRM, will be default based on the information you have in here. Select whoever's going to own that contact. As Cliff mentioned, it's the person putting them in there. So you would put your name and then select lifestyle stage and lead status there. I think by default, lifecycle stage will be lead, and then you'll hit create. Life cycle stage is, think of lead as the sales side of the business, where life cycle stage continues through customer, right? So you could have a prospect, a lead, a subscriber, a customer, evangelist, vendor, partner. Like you can have different things as far as life cycle stage, where lead status could be new, like you're pursuing that lead, they're a hot lead, a cold lead. In contacts up there at the top. So we kind of did this in order of how you would set up your CRM too, as you follow along. So you would add your users first. Now we're going to import contacts. You're going to click that import button. There is a spreadsheet that HubSpot has in the knowledge base that, you can download so you can make sure that your properties are set up correctly and your information set up correctly to import without issues. Essentially, you want everything to be in its own column, right? You can't have first and last name together. You have first name, last name, company, that you have a property. You'll click start import file from computer. And then next down there at the bottom, and then contacts is what's typical, but you could also do a company import, a deal import, product import. There's lots of options. And then you'll hit next again at the bottom and then choose a file. You can choose a file. I think it gives you Drive as an option, and then whatever's on your computer as well. You can choose to create and update contacts. That second option. I use the example file you see up there, contacts import. Next, and then this is what you'll see, right? So I left one that was undone. It's funny, this was the HubSpot example. So favorite food, coffee, waffles, and shrimp. I don't have that property, so I don't have a green check. You can see the green checks are things that are mapped. It automatically pick them up. If there isn't a property existing in HubSpot for that, it will let you know by not having a green check. Setting up your pipelines and deal stages. Creating and setting up pipelines and deal stages. So again, starting at the settings tab. On this left column, you'll hit deals, pipelines. Yes, Tim?
I just want to notate the settings tab changes based on the screen you're on.
Yes.
What I mean by that is HubSpot is smart enough to know that if you're in the deal pipeline and you click settings, it's going to take you to the deal pipeline settings. If you are in the contact record and you click settings, it is going to take you to the contact record settings.
Good note. Okay. Pipelines, you see there in the tabs right there up at the top. Create pipeline. You can name it whatever you want. Hit create again. And then this is just showing that you can change this. So this goes back to your data. You can customize it for your conversion percentages. When they reach different stages, you'll see typically they progress from low to high. And then contract sent, I'm adjusting here now the deal probability. That's important for your percentages to make sure you update those so that your CRM is customized for your business. And then you can really tell that comes into play with your forecasting, right? Your percentages, the revenue that it sees that your business has and is likely to have. Connecting your phone, email, and calendar. Let's go. You're going to click the phone icon from any record. So you're going to act like you want to call, and then it'll say set up your own number or get a new number. HubSpot offers numbers if you want. We used our own phone number. That's my cell phone number. Adding it, text me. It texted, did the confirmation thing. I put in the code, verification complete. It's that simple. Connecting emails the same way.
This does not work with free email or free Microsoft.
no.
Have to have the paid.
Yes, and it works with Microsoft or
Yeah.
G Suite. And then download extension. This is an important step, and I'll show you why. I'm hitting download, done, connecting your calendar, same thing. You're going to click the meeting icon there, select your calendar type, customizing contact records. All right, so from any record, you can hit actions. What this helps with is customizing properties and kind of the layout, like I mentioned earlier, of what you want to see when you are entering a contact. So you can see, I can say, okay, I want to see company name. I want to see legal basis for contacting. So I added all of the things and then you just hit save. So you can see the ones that I added there. And now when I enter a contact, it will ask me that information, or that's the information that will save for me to see when someone goes to a contact record. Save, creating contact list. So I use an active list example. There are two list types mainly in HubSpot, active versus static. Static is like a snapshot, one-time list. Active is you create filters and it will continually update that list based on the filters. As they meet the filter, they'll be added. As they, if they, unsubscribe or something, then they'll be taken off of whatever that filter is. Just as a note. So CRM list, I'm going to hit create list up at the top. Contact based, I just named it, gave it a description, right? Descriptions are important. I did not mention that with properties, but whenever it asks you for a description, do it, because you will not remember tomorrow what you created yesterday. So you need to have notes for yourself. If add filter, I'm going to click form submissions just as an option. Select a form. I did that. Refine the filter. So this is making my active list. It'll always tell you, or it'll preview, I think, on the side. I don't know if it did that in the next slide, but then you'll hit save list. But you can refine it based on what location. If you want to be very specific, HubSpot lets you get very specific. And you can see that I actually picked the page that they filled the form out on. Contacts. All right. Advanced filters. So you can see life cycles, what I typed in, life cycle stage. I'm saying lead. This is what I'm doing right now. Just backing up is I'm creating a list view in HubSpot so that you see how you have these tabs, all contacts, my contacts. I'm creating something that lives here so that I can look at what I want to see when I'm on this tab in the future. Okay.
Great place to put like your hot leads, your warm leads, specs. If you're doing account-based marketing, the accounts that you're targeting, things like that.
Yeah. So I did one for contacts. You can see I hit add view and then create new view. I made a leads one. And then if I hit all views, or you can see actually on the tab I was on, sorry, it was there. See the leads tab? That's the one I just created. Okay. And then I'm going to keep moving. I also did one for company. I think my example here was target accounts. So there's a way to define these in HubSpot. And if you want to see your target accounts actively, because you can make an active list based on new people being added that meet the criteria, then I would suggest you do target account as your company one. Or if you're doing like account-based marketing, it's a good trick for that. Add view, same way you did for contacts, create new view, target account. Oh, I'm skipping through this, but it asks you all the time, which is another thing I like about HubSpot. Who are you sharing this with? If this is just a owner list, then you can say private. You can say everyone on your team. It lets you be very specific. You can do by team, by person, all of the things for your views. And then confirm. And now we're at creating and using templates, section 2. So template library, we like to start here. HubSpot has a lot of things out of the box that you can set up. So I'm hitting templates. I'm hitting new template up from the template library. Look at all these that are already in there. So we've got the next step, an email template for conversion. We've got following up without annoying your prospect, and hit save your selections. And then when you want to use one, that process of us adding adding email, you can see now templates are right here. You can also see the other sales tools, meetings, tasks, snippets, documents, payments. And then this is my most commonly used template pops up, onboarding forms. Okay, but yeah, you hit your recipient and then templates, you can select your template and then it populates once you say who it's going to. So very easy. Create property, that's the one that I missed. And then contact type is the one that I'm creating. This Tim was talking about as far as knowing what you want to see when you're in the record based on the role that the person is in. You'll see in a second what I'm talking about. All right, select group, contact information. You can change this based on what you need. Right, this is where we get into, look, vendor, employee, prospect, target, lead. I'm adding based on what I want to see, and then based on what kind of relationship I have with them, we'll change that contact record. And then create. If it's something where you can only be one thing, I recommend drop down select. If it's an either or, radio is the best.
Have a yes or no too.
Yes or no, either, like, yeah. And then if it's multiple options, you should use checkbox, just as a note. Those are the most common ones where people are like, how do I use and which one should I pick? All right, dashboards. Again, we're going to go with what has out of the box just for time and for showing you guys. Create dashboard, sales opportunity review, which is a good one. You can select, you can deselect if you don't want to see something. I'm doing another one you guys should be looking at, revenue. Then you can say whether or not you want the things in there. And again, who should have access, and then create. All right, sequences, automation, sequences, difference between sequences and workflows is the most commonly asked question. Sequences are sales specific. They are kind of automating your outreach, right? So everything up until they become a customer, then it allows you to enter the conversation. Once they reply, the sequences stop and you can send them an email. Okay, I'm just selecting from the templates to get started. So prospecting, email heavy, it gives you, and you can update here whatever you want to. So if you want to replace the email, you can pick another one that you have, and then you can edit, right? Edit the emails if you want to, change it, put some better content in there, hit save. All right, lead scoring, HubSpot score. So in HubSpot, this is called a HubSpot score, but lead scoring is very useful to be able to know where your sales team should be active, right? You want them to be active on hot leads. So we recommend you get your lead scoring set up. Go to properties. You're going to type in score just so you can see it. Edit property. Field type is what you'll need to edit. And you'll see on the left, there's positive criteria, negative criteria. Positive criteria, you can add like they landed on a page, they viewed your pricing, they booked a meeting. Negative can be they unsubscribed, they didn't show up for the meeting. Make sure that it's easy for people to recognize a hot lead versus not. So that is it. And then you guys can scan this page. That's our contact information, just if you didn't capture it before. That's it.
What I asked Jane to do is come forward and say, give us a scenario where we're in the middle of this thing and show us real world CRM process. So welcome, Jane.
So a couple practices around CRM. Let's talk this morning about data, right? The number one reason that I see CRMs fail with my clients, CRM rollouts, they're not built for the salespeople. They're not a sales tool. They become a sales tax, right? So what happens is you didn't build it for me, therefore I don't go in and use it all week. Or you built it to do estimating, or you tried to shove ops in there, or you tried to track hours in there and use it for something that is not a customer relationship tool. And then I do my own thing outside of the system, and Friday I go in there because I know my manager's going to look at it, and I put a bunch of bullcrap in there. And then your forecasting is wrong, right? Everything becomes wrong in your CRM system. So one of the most important things to figure out, this client calls it life cycle. In HubSpot, it's called your pipeline. I call it your sales process. I don't really care what you call it as much as I care that you do it and you get it. All right. Everybody's sales process is going to be a little bit different. Something is automatic in HubSpot. That does not mean that that's the way you sell to win. All of our companies have a little bit of a different process that we go through when we win a deal. The purpose of process is to improve your win rate so that we know what we do when we win, and we do that more consistently. That makes sense? The way I recommend to clients to look at those deals that you have won, figure out by looking backwards, what are the things that we do most consistently to win a deal? All right, for this particular client, this is how they have determined the process. Pre-qualified, which are going to be marketing qualified leads, meaning it's a prospect that is probably good for us, but we don't want to put them in the sales process yet. Qualified. We know that this customer is a good fit for us and it's a deal we have a good chance of winning. Develop is where they're dialing in their own internal processes to build out the actual solution for the customer. Propose it, we close it, and then we put in here, and I'm a big fan of this, right? Sales process does not end at I closed a deal, in my opinion. Sales process ends at I launched that deal successfully successfully into the organization so that people that are delivering on that deal got exactly what they need to deliver on that deal. So I talked this customer into that, and they put handoff as a part of the sales process. Sales process should be kind of a circular thing, right? I sell it, I close it, I hand it off, I build that relationship with that customer, they become qualified again. That makes sense? So this is this client's version of pipeline. This is what HubSpot, I couldn't talk him into that. HubSpot's my favorite, by the way. This is what is in their CRM as their pipeline, okay? How do we train salespeople to do this? We build out a very comprehensive sales process. Okay, why do I do this? I like to put context to everything. Number one, this is an onboarding tool. You get new salespeople in your organization and you say to them, this is how we sell. This is a tool to improve your close rate. When we sell this way, we win more than we lose. This is a tool for your sales managers. Good sales managers are not managing to a number. You can't course correct a number. They are motivating, coaching, and holding people accountable. What are they holding them accountable to? This gives them something to coach. Does that make sense? Where do those magical percentages come from in your CRM tool? Well, they're populated automatically, but they're bullshit until you validate them. How do you validate them? Having a process like this. This is how I personally like to build out sales process. It doesn't mean it's the only way or it's the perfect way. Right? I just want to give you an example. Number one, you see at the top, what are those stages of the deal? Down on the side, we're looking at 4 things, and sometimes I do 5. I'll tell you what they are. What are my key sales activities that happen at this stage? Number 1. Number 2, what has to go into the CRM at this stage? This is accountability, right? Number 3, go, no go. Here's the thing about sales process, y'all. It does not go back and forth and back and forth. It goes one direction, forward, okay? This is the gate that we create so a salesperson knows until I have done this, until I have gotten agreement from the client for this, I do not go to the next stage. Why do we do that? One reason, manage your internal resources, right? This is why the CEO needs to be so involved at this level of an organization in this process. Because salespeople don't always, they're going for the easy route, right? Not the right route always. Again, it's my tribe. I understand them. So that's why go, no go, whatever you want to call it, those gates are critical to your sales process. And this is what a manager is coaching to. Did you do discovery really well? Why don't you know the budget? Well, it's all coaching to the process. Down here, what I learned in consulting in giant companies in enterprise is that some marketing organizations get their validation by the amount of crap they produce, right? And salespeople then don't know what to do with it. Like, where do I use this? What is this for? So I put in the sales process, assets have we created for you to use at each part of the process, right? So I know what I should be using. I know when to pull the trigger on that. I like to put below assets, what key learning and development, what are the skill sets that our salespeople need at each step of the process to do well, so we know what we're going to train for. Especially in a mid-sized company, you want to be able to articulate, what do I need to do well in discovery? What do I need to do well when I'm presenting? What am I training against, right? So it makes your training opportunities really intentional. This took way more than 5 days. I'm just going to tell you. But when this client launched this into the organization, they were concerned that salespeople would be overwhelmed. What do you have in the pipe, right? And then as you start to figure out where does stuff fall off in this process, this is where your CRM is super helpful. Where are we losing deals? Number one, and those percentages come from real data then. You can start to change what's in the CRM because you have real data about how often do we win when we get to, this is all about controlling the process. So all of this doesn't live in the CRM, that lives in this, but this is really the foundation behind it and it's critical. So let me just show you one of these and we'll blow it up for you to kind of see what's in there. Key sales activities and qualified. Well, we know, can't help somebody who doesn't have a budget, can't help somebody that can't make a decision, right? All those kinds of discovery questions. That's what happens around here. do we want to go after this deal? CRM requirements. They're very specific here because they also have different business units, but they can sell across each other. So the CRM has to be set up so that I can see where Cliff has sold into, because my part of the company might be able to back end on what Cliff has already done inside this organization. So they want to be able to see across what everybody is selling to. Go, no go. Do we have a solution that fits their budget, their goals? Do we know the decision-making process? Have we outlined the next step? Did I put all the stuff in the CRM I was supposed to put in? And then we listed the assets. So real quick on like a crap ton of work, but this is what that gets built around. And when you build your CRM to support this process, and like I said, Bianca's is going to be a little bit different than Joe's. It's not going to look the same. When you start to hold salespeople accountable to something like this, when you onboard with a tool like this, the win rate's going to go up.
What's your opinion on engaging a few people, salespeople, key salespeople in your organization, utilize them to help them, for them to actually help you build out, go into?
And do you have sales managers?
No.
This team had, to develop this, we brought in the sales leaders from the different divisions. We talked to a couple high-performing salespeople. We talked to estimating. What do they need from a salesperson in a handoff? We talked to ops. What do you need from a salesperson in a handoff? So we talked to the people that were going to be affected by a deal that gets closed. So we know we're putting the right in the CRM for them, that they don't have to go somewhere else to grab all of that information. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of that. I'll stick around if you guys have any other questions. I hope that was helpful for you.
The train wreck, and that's a good way to put it. I went into a company, they basically hired me on as the champion, and I had to go into this company and first learn their business and what they sold, how they sold it, and they were very set on that they were just so different than everyone else. Does anyone know what a GPO is? Purchasing organization. So trying to get a CRM set up for a group purchasing organization, they had brought in a consulting firm, and they had no way to get reports out of their CRM. They were using Excel spreadsheets and just piling things together, and honestly, they weren't accurate. And one of their biggest issues with that was why they were like, okay, we've got to fix this. They were trying to grow and sell. They were private equity owned, and the private equity was constantly saying, we need reports, we need reports, we need metrics, we need data. And they couldn't get that to them, which is not good. So
Can't hear over here.
here.
So just to say what I basically did in very simple terms, because a lot of you in the room might be like, where do you even start? I had the same question when I got to this company. Where do I start? Especially when I saw that the CEO who founded the company was not using, they bought Salesforce and no one was using it. Everyone, I went in it. When I opened it, I had a heart attack. I was terrified to touch it. There were so many fields, an insane amount of fields. It was a mess. So what we did was like, okay, let's nail this down before we bring in another consulting firm. So we had to hire another one to revamp the whole thing and start fresh essentially and wipe everything out. I started with interviewing every team in the company and focusing highly on the sales team. So the sales people are the ones, as we've all reiterated, they're in it day in and day out. This is what they eat, sleep, breathe, everything is their CRM. I sat down with the VP, the directors, the lowest level salespeople. Not a single one of them could tell me their sales cycle. That's a big issue if you don't know your sales cycle and you're trying to build out a CRM. So we sat down and we did this before the consulting firm came in. And we decided this is our sales cycle. This is what happens in each step and stage of the sales cycle. And here's what we need in the fields. And we had to be able to back why. If you put a field in your CRM and you can't say why it's there, take it out. Simple as that. It's going to get messy and the salespeople are going to not want to use it or look at it and it's not going to be accurate. So we made this, and I will tell you the funniest part is a lot of the salespeople that had been there a while, they said that they could close a deal in 48 hours, 24 hours, and that was their sales cycle. Why? Because they skipped a lot of the process that you have to follow, and that when it got handed off to the implementation team and account management, they'd have to go back all the way to the start of the sales cycle to do all the dirty work the salesperson didn't do. And it slowed down the revenue coming into the company, which was huge when you're private equity owned, trying to grow and trying to sell. So we put in simple parameters. We sat down with the salespeople and said, okay, why would you not fill out this field? And they'd explain why. And usually it takes too long. I don't want to figure it out. So we tried to figure out where can we put automation each stage. Automations were huge for salespeople. If there's something that can automatically be populated, the KPI or anything that just triggers through other data that's been entered, that saves them hours of time and hours of scrolling through emails and their notes and remembering things. Automations are huge. Also, I was in a sales role for a minute, and I will say I I did this trick. If you put certain parameters around fields, so you can't go to the next stage until you fill out a certain field, you get pissed as a salesperson, but it makes you put in that information. So we made sure very high level fields that we had to have that you should not go to the next stage without. They couldn't move on. They just couldn't move on unless they went to someone higher up and asked for it. And those were very strategic. And you have to really think on where they're placed because you don't want to slow down the close win, but you don't want to get to a close win. It's not really a close one. You skipped half the stuff that you really need, especially legal documentations, like we've said. So we put a lot of parameters around contracting and it did piss off the salespeople, but we told them why. We explained and we trained, this is why you have to have this. Because once it gets to implementation and account management, they have to go through it all again. And then once you get to due diligence, the company's trying to get sold, you're not going to be able to sell. You're not going to have everything you need for whoever's trying to buy you. And so that was a huge issue. But writing out your sales cycle and making it very clear, cut and dry, and really understanding the fields under each one and being able to back them with why, automations, and little info bubbles. That is so helpful. If you have a field in there and there's, you get confused as a salesperson. You're like, wait, what is this one supposed to mean again? And you can just hover over it and it explains what it is. That is so helpful to someone in a sales role so that they don't have to memorize even more stuff that they're already trying to memorize from the whole sales cycle and from the calls they're having and the leads they're nurturing. So I would say if you're like, where do I start? Really, really, really nail down your sales cycle and then go down to each stage, look at what fields you need, sit with the salespeople and truly understand what their pain points are and how you can make their life easier with fields, automations, and a nice, clean process. And this is what can help you also build out a playbook and everything else that gets it going into all the other teams that you'll want to roll out into eventually. I will say we had one team at the company that was using the CRM and it was the implementation team and they should be using Monday.com or something. I was like, wow, the one team using the CRM shouldn't be using the CRM. So, I would say start with the sales team, roll it out like Cliff says, get your sales cycle solidified, fields, automations, and standards to set so that they can't just keep skipping things you need.
Like T, you can come and wrap this up with the pricing and how to buy it.
Thank you very much. And this is just to validate when we said we chose two of what we think are the best CRMs for you. Went back to, the G grid. You can see on the upper left-hand quadrant of the true CRMs, we've got Pipedrive and HubSpot. Salesforce, of course, is there. And this is companies of all sizes. This is ActiveCampaign and email. This is a CRM enabled. And then, who's ClickFunnels here. Both of those are CRM enabled. So true CRMs, upper left-hand quadrant. Thank you, Tim. So when it comes to pricing, if you're not familiar, just wanted to run over a high level, how you price out a CRM. So the number one thing is number of users. Number two, if you pay for it monthly or pay for it annually, you're going to get a price discount. And number three is what are the features? Expensive plans are going to give you full functionality. What services you are buying? Marketing, just sales, marketing operations. So the more platforms or amounts of service, of course, the more expensive. I think that you also need to go ahead and factor in advisor cost, right? Anybody in this room can figure out Pipedrive or any other CRM, but how much time do you have to figure out all the nuances so you can apply it to your business as it needs to be applied? So go ahead and factor in the advisor cost for our company, for Tim's company, for Jane's company, whatever the case may be. Integrations, which we'll talk about here just in a moment coming up. So just real quickly, the HubSpot tiers, and hey, Tim and Ashley, feel free to jump in if there's anything I'm missing here. Starter customer platform, $15 per month per user if you're doing it annually. So 5 users, $75 per month. However, it's going to restrict some of the functionality that you may need. So just grabbing a couple of them, you only have 2 pipelines. You've got 10 dashboards, but those custom fields or those custom properties that you build out, you're not going to be able to report on those. So there's really no sense in having them. So you really need to bump up to the professional platform or the enterprise platform that Tim was talking about earlier. Now we're talking about $90 per month per user, paying annually. So 5 users, $450. And so for HubSpot, you also have a one-time onboarding cost, not towards the advisor, but this is $1,500 if you're on the professional platform. And with HubSpot, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, that's the base price, depending on the service that you're using, number of contacts, voice, emails, and things that you send out could increase that price. But because it is a fuller platform, also has Operations Hub, Marketing Hub, Service Hub. And so HubSpot also then offers a bundle, allows you to bundle that price. So that is a professional platform. That's $1,300 a month. That includes 5 seats and has all of that. Again, that's the base price and doesn't include the cost that could go up. So Pipedrive is a little bit different since it's purely sales focused. I can do automations and campaigns and things of nature as well. That price is going to be a little bit different. Professional level, that's going to be $49 per month per user. So you're looking at 5 users that's paying annually, 5 users, $245 because we're focused on sales, right? And then if you want to do any add-on products, lead booster, which would be web forms, chat bot for your website and things of that nature, then you're paying per company. And web visitors, if you want to know who's hitting your website, again, same type of stuff that HubSpot does, just in a different format pricing wise.
Ongoing thing. If I could tell anybody, just make CRM part of your life. You want to grow. If you don't, you want a mom and pop business, you want a lifestyle business, there's other solutions. But without this, it doesn't happen.
And I cannot say loudly enough what Jane and what Cliff has mentioned about start by looking inside first and then work backwards and take a sales-centric approach. If you ever hear the stories about Salesforce, and I've used Salesforce before at all 3 different levels, it was built by and for the sales leaders or the executive leaders. And it's garbage in, garbage out. There's nothing clean about it, right? And so everybody learn from that. You need to have a sales-centric approach. So challenges, talking about the sales-centric approach, mentioned a little bit of training. It's not, hey, here it is. Here's a booklet, good luck. It's training. And like any type of training, you're going to get 5 or 10% on the first time. So it needs to be consistent. You need to have some videos of your specific process, a booklet, somewhere they can access instantly, but have that consistent training. And you're going to be changing the way they operate, regardless of whether you're using spreadsheets, one CRM system, or paper and pencil. You're changing the way that they are working today. You're asking them to adapt to something different. Who in here loves change? Yeah, nobody, right? And so for that reason, and Jane hit the nail on the head, they need to know what's in it for them. How's it going to make their life better? And when you do, you're taking care of the adoption, right? You're increasing that adoption rate. Guys, for Pipedrive, partners can offer extended trial periods, right? If you just go online and pipe it in, you get 2 weeks for free. Different partners can take that out to 30 days or 45 days or 60 days before you lay down a credit card and actually buy it. So you're doing that implementation, you're in it, you got a certain amount of people in, it's built out for you. You get to use it before you really make that decision.
I will pull back the curtain on that a lot. So here's the thing. If I have a lot more power if you start the process through them first. Now, candidly, partners do get commissions off of selling and managing software, right? So sometimes you will run into a partner that's not going to negotiate on your behalf, right? That's not typically our approach. I'll be honest, I don't grow my business on HubSpot through the commissions. It's just not going to get there. However, so in that way, I don't care how much you buy the software for. I just want you to have the software so we can do everything else we do. However, what we can do is begin to negotiate things that the most I've seen that we've been able to negotiate, I think we got 35% off of one enterprise deal. It was 40, thank you. So 40% off, right? So those things will happen. If you go through the sales team, I have zero control over that discount because it belongs to them. If you come through me or another partner, the deal belongs to me. So those are things to consider when you leave a meeting, you heard HubSpot, you're thinking about it and you go, oh, let me jump on their website. Once you jump on that website, you're diminishing your ability to negotiate. Now, sometimes they're hyper aggressive and they want to close the deal. So they'll do some things, end of the month, end of the year. This quarter we're in right now is the time. If you haven't bought and you're thinking about it, this is the time to buy. But outside of that, HubSpot went public a few years back and they are cracking down on all discounts. So just be mindful. They just changed. Somebody was mentioning the HubSpot for Startups program that they're in. They even completely redid that program. So yeah.
But integrations, I'm going to go through real fast because I want to show that demo. So integrations are key. And that's when we talk about CRM and sales technologies. If you have a CRM, if you're not using other technologies in alignment with it, you soon will be. And I will have to throw a little love to the Salesforces and the HubSpots of the world. When somebody creates a piece of software, 100% every single time they're going to integrate with Salesforce and HubSpot because they are the two biggies. And people and Pipedrive will be the second tier of what gets the integration. So in terms of integrations, native, that's when HubSpot or Pipedrive creates the integration. Next tier is an API that allows the other piece of software or you yourself to go in and build an integration. Either one of those two are great. Third party, middleware kind of, hey, we really don't have, anything in the game, but we see an opportunity. When they create an integration, it kind of goes out the window because who do you call when something is going, wrong? Zapier and Make will be two companies that have popped up recently, I'd say over the last 4 years. That's a web automation tool that allows somebody with no coding experience whatsoever to connect two applications and either transfer or just grab it and bring it to you with a webhook or go back and forth with information sharing between two systems. That would be the type of integrations. One of those integrations that works both with Pipedrive and HubSpot is Surf. How many people in here use LinkedIn pretty much on a daily basis, or at least on a weekly basis. So then you go and take stuff and then go to your CRM and put it in your CRM. We want to show you a little tool that allows you to do both at the same time. Okay, we have the whole system up. So this is their visual pipeline. So I'm going to go over here to my contacts. I'm going to fly through this real quickly. And so here's some contacts. It's a demo. So you can see we've got labels for everybody. Kinsey, I'm going to go to K real quickly. Kinsey is not in this demo platform, right? So I don't have Kinsey in my CRM. So I'm going to pop over to LinkedIn, and you can see here, I pop over here in the people, I had custom fields laid for labels. So the first one was client, next one was prospect CRM, next one was prospect Vantage. Those labels are now in LinkedIn. So I can come in and properly label her in my CRM, right? I could also come out and find, I've got her email address, but I can find her mobile telephone number and it'll go out and search. So I've got business intelligence here as well. There's her mobile number. I'm going to pop in here to the notes section and say, Kinsey, you did a great job at CliffCo today. I've entered a note. Now let's say I want a task. I want to say thank you note for helping me out with the presentation. I want to do that. Let's see. Let's do that on Monday after the weekend, and we'll do that at 11 o'clock. You know what? I'm going to assign it to myself, but I could assign it to somebody else in the organization. Comment. I'll just skip that for time's sake here. I'm going to create that activity in my CRM. I've also popped in and asked it to create some custom fields for me as well. I want to know how long she's been with the company that she's with. I want to give me a summary of her LinkedIn profile page. And I'm doing all of this stuff without being connected to her. So if you look over in my Pipedrive CRM, who's new there? You see Kinsey down here. So if I pop in and take a look at Kinsey, now all of the information has magically popped over here instantly. And then I've got the other details here and it's summarized her profile for me. And if I take a look, I think I did this demo with Tim. So we go to Tim. Tim and I also on LinkedIn went back and forth with a couple of LinkedIn messages. And so I grabbed that conversation and threw it in here as well. It's my LinkedIn conversation with my CRM. So this works with both HubSpot and Pipedrive. But the thing is, you can stay in LinkedIn. Somebody gives me a business card. I don't come scan it. I don't come enter it in. I just go to LinkedIn, look them up, and it's in there.
Can you mask
So your time saving. So talk about sales centric and talk about how can you make that salesperson more productive and efficient. What's in it for them? That just saved them a ton of time. You're assuming that LinkedIn is up to date, correct? You go back to your default of what you're doing today. But if it is, you can save a ton of time. And if people check it.
What's pricing on that?
Week before they check.
Right, exactly.
How much does Surf cost?
I think that version is $29.99.
I want to give you a hug. That thing's awesome.
Oh my
And, just like Zoom Info and Apollo and Seamless, you can have those things. In fact, some of that sales intelligence is coming through 4 different companies. Apollo. So yeah.
For me, the big takeaway out of that one that's different, we were talking about this beforehand, is it pulls the chat conversation in. That's very unique. Like I can do a lot of that stuff in a HubSpot conversation.
So when you see the explosion of sales technologies, this stuff is happening every single day, right? Those meeting notes and those meeting makers that people have seen on Teams and Google Meets, and if you have the right one, it's throwing it in your deal. It's throwing it into your profile in your CRM. So your notes are already in, before you go at the end of the call, they're there.
All right, that was outstanding. And here's one of the big things we've done here. People sitting up here have got our full faith and credit. They will come and treat you like an enterprise customer and make sure it's done right before it's out. 80% of the folks out there are not going to do that. Coming in, many times on CRM, I hear, Cliff, we spent $12,000 and we really got in there. So this kind of stuff is really, really good. It gets me excited. So let's give all these folks a round.